Isang mapagpalang araw sa ating lahat mga kaibigan. Naitanong kay Supreme Court Senior Associate Justice Adolfo Azcuna, isa sa mga framer ng 1987 Constitution, ang naging panawagan ni Senator Peter Cayetano na snap election o pagbibitiw ng lahat ng mga opisyal mula sa pinakamataas hanggang sa pinakamababa at baka magkaroon daw umano ng military junta kung hindi ito gagawin. Saad ni Azcuna na ang panukala ni Cayetano ay labag sa konstitusyon. Wala aniyang basehan ang panawagan na mass resignation, kundi kaguluhan lang daw ang dulot nito sa pamahalaan at yan anya ay delikado. Ibinigay na halimbawa ni Azcuna na ang konstitusyon ay nagsasabi na ang presidente ang commander-in-chief ng sandatahang lakas kung siya ay magre-resign kasama ng vice president at lahat ng opisyal ng pamahalaan ay walaan niyang papalit sa kanila para maging commander-in-chief ng sandatahang lakas. At kung mayroong banta sa seguridad ng bansa ay walang mangunguna sa kanila at anya ito ay napakadelikado. Dagdag pa niya na walang nakasulat na snap election sa konstitusyon, bagama't hindi naman ipinagbabawal, ngunit labagan niya ito sa sistema ng bansa dahil tayo ay isang presidential at hindi parliamentary at sa parliamentary lamang ito ginagawa. Giit pa ni Azcuna na may sinumpaang tungkulin ang mga opisyal na gampanan ang kanilang tungkulin. Unconstitutional din umano na pilitin nating magbitiw ang isang opisyal o di kaya'y pigilan na wag nang tumakbo sa anumang posisyon. Kahit anya na nangyari ng snap election sa panahon ng nooy Ferdinand Marcos Sr. noong 1985 dahil sa mga pagdududa at political pressure ay di umano iba naman ang sitwasyon noon sa kanyang panahon dahil sa mayroon siyang legislative power sa ilalim ng konstitusyon na kanyang ginawa. Pangalawa ay hindi naman di umano siya nag-resign. Pakinggan natin si Justice Azcuna.
We have retired Supreme Court Senior Associate Justice Adolfo Azcuna, one of the framers of the 1987 Constitution. Thank you so much and welcome back to Morning Matters.
Thank you. Good morning.
Okay, first of all, let's go to this proposal of Senator Peter Cayetano for a snap elections preceded by a resignation of all officials. Is there any legal basis for that? Would that be extra constitutional? And to your opinion, some say that this makes the possibility of a military junta even more likely, given that there's a period between resignations and the proposed elections. Your thoughts on that?
Sa palagay ko, itong proposal ni Senator Cayetano ay against the Constitution kasi it is a mass abdication of their solemn duties and oath of office to perform their functions. And there is no basis for a mass resignation of everybody, which will create a vacuum and a void in our government. And that is very dangerous. For example, the Constitution says that the President shall be the Commander-in-Chief of all armed forces. If he resigns, we will have no Commander-in-Chief. Everybody resigns. Nobody can take his place. So there's a void. If something happens and national security is threatened, we have a situation where the military has no commander. And that is dangerous. So palagay ko, hindi dapat gawin ito.
Oo. So tama ho yun, no, na maaaring magkaroon pa ng military junta in that void, in that vacuum of power.
Yes, everything would be possible in that vacuum, political vacuum that will be created when everybody resigns. So that is not a good situation to bring about since it is a lack of governance. What we need is accountability, not absence of governance.
Oh, so there is nothing at all in the Constitution that provides for snap elections. Wala po talaga nakasulat na snap elections doon?
Wala po sa Constitution. Hindi naman nagbabawal, but it's against the system because our system is presidential, not parliamentary. Sa parliamentary, yun ang ginagawa na mas maganda siguro kung ganon ang sistema natin. Pero as it is now, we have a presidential system and officials have taken their oath to perform their duties. And a mass resignation is a abdication of that solemn duty.
Assuming that the proposal of Senator Alan Peter Cayetano is followed, could officials be forced to resign in the first place, or would that be entirely voluntary?
Yes, you cannot force them to resign and you cannot force them not to run again. That would be unconstitutional.
And for the snap elections, would Congress need to sign off on this first? I mean, I guess the other question here is, meron bang power yung Pangulo na tumawag ng elections under the present Constitution? You already said na parang hindi nga po, wala nga po yun kasi presidential na tayo. Pero looking back at history, it already happened. Yung snap elections happened. That was under Ferdinand Marcos Sr. back in December of 1985, where he announced the holding of snap elections in February the next year because of doubt and political pressure surrounding his presidency. So, given that what happened in history, paano po yun? Meron po bang kapangyarihan ang presidente to call for special elections?
Iba po yung sitwasyon noon under President Marcos Sr. because he had legislative powers under the constitution that he crafted. So he could call snap elections. Pangalawa, he did not resign. He continued as president, so there's no vacuum.
Okay.
Commander-in-Chief. So iba po yung sitwasyon noon.
And the other controversial portion of the proposal is that no incumbents would be allowed to run. Is that even constitutional and enforceable?
It would not be constitutional to prohibit incumbents from running again. But of course, they can voluntarily waive the right to run. That is possible, but probably very hard to accomplish. So that is not a very doable proposal of my good friend Senator Alan Peter Cayetano.
And if there is no legal basis, then why is a member of the bar actually proposing this?
Well, out of possible creative solution to our national crisis, I believe. But the way to solve the crisis is through accountability rather than letting go of governance.
And speaking of accountability, hindi po ba nakasulat po sa ating batas that officials who are subject of an investigation are actually not allowed to resign? Section 12 of the anti-graft law says they are not allowed to resign pending an investigation or pending a prosecution for graft and corruption or bribery. Do we understand Section 12 correctly? Sino po kaya yung maaaring maging parte nito? Given na yung mga hearings, meron po mga pangalang nabanggit, pero they're still building up cases.
Well, that is a situation where the person has already been investigated and perhaps sued already criminally, so it's not allowed to resign. But usually a person has a right to resign. But a mass resignation is different. That will be totally giving up governance. And that is, I think, unconstitutional.
Well, there are those who say that this is probably a smokescreen or distraction to cast the net so wide that it would be difficult now to really focus on the guilty, on those who need to be held accountable. And on the other end, no, parang calling for a mass resignation, parang marami nagsasabi, gano'n na lang ba yun? Magre-resign na lang ba? Wala ba dito makakasuhan o makukulong? Your thoughts on what's happening now and the way the flood control probe is being conducted as you watch?
Yes, I agree. This could be a distraction, whether intended or not, from the need for those who are responsible to render accounting to our people.
And the conversation of resignation of all officials, if you change the people and you don't change the system, nothing much will happen, correct? So if you take a look at the current constitution, looking back, what would you have done or what would you have added as deterrence for corruption? Because there are those who say that the hand of the law is not too heavy on the corrupt. That, yun nga, no? Bakit nga paulit-ulit nangyayari ito sa ating bayan? It's become so systemic, so system-wide, parang wala na pong takot. If you had the chance to open back up the Constitution and add some more deterrents in there, what would you add?
I would add a definition of political dynasty so that we will have no more situation where political dynasty is proliferating, even though the Constitution already prohibits it for lack of definition, as Congress has failed to define it up to now.
And how would you define it?
2 degrees at least.
2 degrees, hindi up to the 4th degree of consanguinity. Okay. Pero bukod po doon, no, meron nga nagpo-propose ng death penalty. Of course, that's the one extreme end. But currently, if plunder is one of the heaviest that you can get charged for because you can get imprisoned for life. Ano po yung, parang meron po ba kayong naiisip pa na maaaring maidagdag pa rito? I mean, is it just a matter of enforcement now? Given that there is something in the law that already punishes or gives a punishment of life imprisonment for corruption?
What we have to look into is the presumption of ill-gotten wealth that is in the law, but we are not using it. In other countries, such as England, where it is proven that an official's assets exceed his lawful income, the excess is considered immediately ill-gotten, and that amount can be frozen. You don't have to prove that this particular property was ill-gotten. You can take any of his property up to the amount of the excess and freeze it and confiscate it. That's in our law, but we are not using it.
Which one po? Yung?
The Anti-Graft Law, Republic Act 1359.
Oo. Ano po yung threshold?
Meron pong provision dyan that if it is proven that the assets of an official exceeds his lawful income, the excess is presumed ill-gotten.
It's already in the law.
It's already in the law.
Oh, okay. But yun nga po, no, it's a matter of being able to apply the law. Another thing that has not been observed is yung Article 11, Section 1 that states public office is public trust and public officers must at all times lead modest lives. But how do you begin to enforce that in the first place?
Well, first place, you require the filing of SAL-N and disclosure of SAL-N as required by the Constitution. And then we have the wrong notion that we should all send them to jail. What we should do first is to forfeit their properties that are ill-gotten. Hit them where it hurts, no? Confiscate the excess property, forfeit it in favor of the government. While it's still there, we should not investigate. The law already allows confiscation of what is in excess. And then go for forfeiture. We have a law for forfeiture. Don't go for imprisonment. Go for forfeiture.
Pero yun nga po, no, kahit yung salin pa lang, unang-una pa lang po doon, ay naglabas na yung ombudsman ng desisyon noon na officials are not required to disclose their salin, and you would need to ask for their permission to do that. That came from the office of the ombudsman. And I guess my question here is, why is the ombudsman so powerful when it comes to these decisions? At pangalawa, given that the government is looking at its next ombudsman now, what is at stake with that choice as the next ombudsman?
Well, at stake is the enforcement of our laws against corruption. And so it is very important. The choice of the ombudsman is very important because he is the primary official who is tasked with prosecuting the guilty in our system. So, but I have also a proposal to assist in the task of prosecuting guilty officials to adopt a writ of quitam. This is a special procedure which allows citizens themselves to file the suit against the corrupt official. It is allowed in other countries. All you have to do is for the Supreme Court to adopt the rule. It's called quitam. And in that case, the ombudsman is given 60 days to file the case. If the ombudsman fails to file the case, the citizen can file the case against the corrupt official.
Okay, so this in effect gives the citizenry some power over that. What would be the main difference with current procedures?
Well, the writ of quitam has to be adopted by the Supreme Court. No need for Congress. It's just a procedural remedy, and the Supreme Court, in the same way that it adopted the writ of amparo in 2007,
Okay.
can adopt the writ of quitam today to address massive corruption in our system.
Okay. Some were afraid that the office of the ombudsman might be used as an office for political retribution. How do you safeguard or protect the office from doing just that when it is the president who will choose the ombudsman? Bakit po yung ano po yung naging rational kung bakit yung presidente ang pinapa-appoint po nito? Given that yun nga po no, there are political interests at hand. And if you take a look at the arena now, that is exactly the thing that's that might influence all of these events, from the impeachment down to the flood control probe.
Well, the ombudsman is an independent office, constitutional office, given powers and independence under the setup. So we expect the ombudsman to be above politics in the performance of his or her duties. And of course, the citizens must be on guard as well, and be vigilant, so that the ombudsman will know that he's being watched by the people themselves.
Oo, pero paano po kaya yun? Many of the officials on the short list of the JBC, including Justice Remulla, are closely identified with the administration. In your mind, how do we strike a balance between independence of the office as well as the political aspects of the job?
It's precisely the nature of the office itself that provides independence, regardless of the appointing power. It's like the Supreme Court. Once you're appointed, you don't look back. Your loyalty is to the Constitution.
Ideally po yun po ang ang mangyayari po sana the loyalty to the constitution from all fronts, but I guess we if you take a look at the proposal that we put on the table today from Senator Peter Cayetano, as you mentioned, that one is already extra constitutional, so we continue to watch out for what's happening here, but thank you for shedding light on the recent developments and joining us this morning.